got to go. Hey, 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 ho. LNG has got to go. Hey, 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 ho. LNG has got to go. Hey, 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 ho. LNG has got to go. Hey, hey, ho. We are going to listen to one of my good friends. I call him my Bratty brother, my Bratty big brother. He is co-founder and director of California Kitchen, which was birthed out of Standing Rock. California Kitchen continues to sustain our movements in more ways than just food. In spring of 2019, Thomas H. Joseph II was nominated by Indigenous Environmental Network and received the Climate Justice Alliance National Organizer Award for his work. Thomas, DJ.
The host.
Good morning. I too am going to read because there's a lot I got to say about this. The Kaialupa peoples called Salem their home since time immemorial. I would like to acknowledge that this house of governance never paid restitution to the original peoples for the land that it was built on. Restitution can start today by upholding Indigenous values and having Governor Brown stop this pipeline from destroying our Mother Earth. Restitution can start today by acknowledging our Indigenous knowledge of sanctity of our oceans and stop the destruction of the Jordan Cove terminal. My name is Thomas Joseph, and I carry the Indigenous teachings of my ancestors through the oral teachings of my elders. I am a descendant of multiple California tribes, from the Valley of Yosemite to the Redwood Forest of the Lower Klamath Basin. I currently live on the lands of which my ancestors have put to rest for thousands of years, and today they are here with us, as so are yours. You have laid your loved ones to rest in these lands, and you too are now obligated to protect these lands from destruction. I have met many of you and have walked with you, have sat in meetings with you, and understand of your love and compassion for our Mother Earth. We each have our own relationship with these lands and rivers, and we don't need science to tell us what we can see with our own eyes, what we can feel with our feet and hands, and what we can breathe with our own breath. Our world is changing. The soil, the air, the water, the weather. Climate change is real, and we are causing it. Every single one of us. A line has been drawn, and you either stick up and defend our planet, or you stick your head in the sand and kiss you know what goodbye. The world has awakened to the threats of climate change, but real solutions are far from being addressed. Transition is inevitable, but a just transition is something that we are going to have to fight for. We cannot sacrifice our most marginalized communities of poor white folks or people of color by building new fossil fuel infrastructures for corporate elite, especially when foreign nations destroy our land and benefit from other foreign nations. Commodifying our Mother Earth through carbon market schemes is not a solution. We cannot buy our way out of this climate crisis. Permitting fossil fuel companies to buy forests to offset additional drilling and pipelines is a death warrant for future generations. We must understand that our Indigenous knowledge is vital in addressing climate change. Indigenous peoples globally hold 80% of the Earth's bioenergies, and if our treaties are honored and our boundaries are protected, Indigenous people can force the powers of the world to use environmental sustainable energy. Some of the greatest environmental work that we can do is honor our local treaties and seek for state parks and lands to return to Indigenous tribes for management and oversight. Understanding that without environmental protection, our very families and communities will reflect the very injustices of our environment. In this 7th generation of colonial contact, I see, I feel, and not just in our tribal communities, that we are all awakening. We understand that we must stand together for environmental injustice, fight for environmental injustices. Jordan Cove Terminal and the LNG pipeline is a direct threat to the health and welfare of our region. This project will become Oregon's biggest polluter and tie our nation deeper into a dying industry that in its essence is built on death. It is not a job creator, but a job destroyer, destroying ranches, farms, and businesses in its path. As humans of these lands, no matter how long your tenure may have been, We must defend and protect our nation. True energy dependence doesn't come from fracking the hell out of our lands. It comes from renewable sources, to free us from fossil fuels, which chains us to wars and destruction. If we choose, we can free ourselves from this bondage and release our shackles. We must move towards putting our country first and take major steps towards renewable energies. I'm asking all citizens, regardless of party affiliation, to demand a national strategy free from fossil fuels. We demand a separation of gas and state, a strategy that guarantees a sustainable environment for years to come, a healthy environment for our communities may thrive. As we gather here today, I look out amongst the crowd and I recall a time at Standing Rock where all of our people of different creeds, faiths, and religions came from across the globe, gathered to defend the sacred. We reflect that same image today. We have committed to put aside our differences and unite based on our core values of love for our nation. We are true patriots. We are the defenders of our country, gathered to protect what we hold sacred. Today, my brothers and sisters, your families have been laid to rest in these lands, and your ancestors pleased to be honored and protected. We ask you to walk with us and call upon your ancestors for guidance and love to protect our land and commit for the generations to come. This is the guidance that our community and our commitment to our Creator, we will win this upriver battle. Yesterday was the third year from the Backwater Bridge in Standing Rock, where paramilitary groups alongside county police officers, state troopers sprayed hundreds of water protectors with water laced with tear gas in freezing conditions, sending multiple people to the hospital and severely injuring many. We are clear in knowing what to expect in this fight. Let's end it before we escalate to another Standing Rock. We know Oregon police have been trained in these paramilitary tactics. We know that what pipelines bring man camps to prey on innocent women. The LNG pipelines don't eventually leak, but like we see in the Dakota Access Pipeline multiple times already, LNG pipelines explode in forests that have been experiencing dry and hotter weather than normal. Let us stop Jordan Cove and let the LNG pipeline today. Governor Brown, hear our plea. Do the right thing. Be the climate hero we voted you for. We demand a separation of gas and state. On the plaque inside these doors, it reads, "To the souls of its citizens we found the likeness of the state, which they be unjust and tyrannical, then it will reflect their vices. But if they be lovers of righteousness, confident in their liberties, so will be the clean justice and bold in freedom." Kate Brown, we demand a clean and just transition from fossil fuel. Thank you.
Unidos siempre.
Hi, everybody. My name is Diana Aguilar. I am a 23-year-old indigenous mother. My family comes from an indigenous community in Oaxaca, Mexico. I am here today to, well, first and foremost, I want to thank you guys all for coming out, Tlazokamati, for being here, for fighting for this to stop, for this to end. I want to do a land acknowledgement to the Kalapuya tribe. We are on Kalapuya land, the capital, all of Willamette. This is Kalapuya land, so I want to acknowledge that. I also want to go on to acknowledge all of the southern tribes that are being affected by this pipeline. And going forth, I guess. Sorry, I'm nervous. We got you! As an indigenous woman, as a mother, fighting for our natural resources, for our Mother Earth is imperative. We have to protect our environment, not only for us, not only for our children that are present now, not only for this generation and the next one, but for 7 generations forward, for the people that carry on our lineage to know that we fought for our rights, that we fought to keep our ancestral lands, and that we fought for us not to be overrun by corporations, not to be exploited for corporate profit, not to be not to be victims of environmental racism, displacement, and environmental erasure. So I want everybody to repeat after me. Mini Wikoni. Water is life. Mini Wikoni. Water is life. So to continue, I'm just gonna read it. In addition, which are crucial to some tribes' economy. This is what environmental racism looks like. And it's not the first time that we see this lack of consideration for our Native brothers and sisters and their homes. DAPL is a perfect example of not only environmental racism, but also the negative impacts and uncertainty of a pipeline. I want to emphasize that as much as this is a Native and Indigenous issue, it is an Oregonian issue and it is an American issue. The negative impacts on the environment means negative impacts on us, climate change, and our sacred water supply. Oil spills destroy soil, they destroy farmland, waterways, and disturb our forest land. All of this destruction for corporate profit at the expense of American people who will not benefit from this pipeline. American fossil fuel is proposed to be mined by Canadian corporations, and we're going to send the fuel to Asian countries. Canadian corporations tell us that if they built this pipeline, it will be within regulations, and yet they ask for exemptions and changes to said regulations. Jordan Cove is said to generate around 3,500 jobs, but how many of those jobs will be given to Oregonians? And how many of those jobs will remain permanent? Allowing these pipelines to be built is allowing disregard to treaty rights, water rights, human rights, and American values. Repeat after me, please. La agua es sagrada. Water is sacred. La agua es sagrada. Water is sacred. Let's face it, we all see on a daily basis the impact of fossil fuels and fracking on climate change, and yet are we going to continue allowing big corporations to abuse the land, exploit the land and its people? Are we? No. This is my call to Governor Kate Brown to do something, to put an end to it. How is it that there are other governors taking action, saying no or saying yes to this pipeline? Where are you at, Governor Brown? Where are you at? The last thing I want to ask you guys to repeat is this. Black snake killers. Black snake killers. No to Jordan Cove. Thank you.
Thank you, Deanna. I'm going to give you guys just a minute of rally context. Just a few days ago, the federal government released their final environmental impact statement, which glossed over the impacts our communities would see if this project moves forward. Boom! FERC is scheduled to make a decision about the project in February of 2020, 3 months from now. But whether or not FERC approves this project, Governor Brown and Oregon state agencies have the power to stop the Jordan Cove LNG pipeline for good. That's why we're here. We're here to tell Governor Brown to do all she can to protect our communities, not protect the special corporate interests of a Canadian fossil fuel corporation. Our demands for Governor Brown are that number one, she publicly oppose the Jordan Cove LNG. Number two, she supports agency staff Okay, I'm going to introduce the legal tent real quick. We just have some kind of logistical things. First of all, we want to thank the amazing team of legal tent and volunteers and legal observers for joining us today. So thank you. Please go visit the legal tent and pick up some info and talk with our volunteers to learn more about your rights. It's very important that we all understand our rights standing here on the state capitol today. The legal observers are here to observe and document any interactions that law enforcement have with any of us. Thank you to Civil Liberties Defense Center for helping gather and train all of the people here helping us today. You may be wondering, why do we need so much legal support at a rally? Well, some of us are wondering, some of us already know. As we've been fighting this pipeline in all of our communities, so let me just stop right there and recognize that, you know, people standing here today have been fighting this pipeline project for 15 years, right? Thank you. Thank you. But as we've been fighting this pipeline, the company has responded by bolstering law enforcement and monitoring the communities who are resisting. This is unfortunately something that has happened in many recent and historic movements for social and environmental justice and decolonization. We also know that police and courts target people who are indigenous, people of color, queer, trans, poor, and low income. We have seen this in this campaign. We see this in our communities and at this very building. As a result, we're working now to educate ourselves about our rights and how to have each other's backs through thick and thin. Please look out for each other today. And white allies, please be a good ally. I am now going to introduce Chairman Don Gentry. We're very honored to have the chairman of the Klamath Tribes, Don Gentry, here with us today to share about the Klamath, Modoc, and Yashuskin tribes' strong opposition to the pipeline.
Thank you. Ditchum Gustanks, Gail Salwaminias, Gail Salmax. Good day or good morning, my friends, my relatives. I'm honored to be here on behalf of our Klamath and our Modoc and our Paiute people, with the blessing of our tribal council to be here. The Klamath tribes adamantly oppose this project for many of the reasons, and all the reasons actually stated earlier, and it's pretty clear, and we've made that opposition really clear in the FERC process with the numerous letters that we've provided, the public testimony that we provided for the record, and also in the state permitting processes, we've weighed in and expressed our concerns. And I was thinking about what I would say to add to what we've expressed so far, and I was thinking about our elders. I was thinking about our elders when I came up this morning, when I was considering what I would say, and the word that came to my mind was koiji. Koiji, this is bad. Koiji. This is wrong. I know our elders that are listening in the presence of our elders, and they've heard our prayers, and many of us join with the prayers of our elders that they prayed for us, for all of us here, and in opposition to this project. So I encourage you to continue to pray in addition to everything that we're doing here today. I'm here, in my capacity as chairman, I've had opportunity to meet directly with Governor Brown, and I believe she has a heart for our Native people. I do believe she has a heart for the environment. I'm not sure why she hasn't come out and expressed more clearly her opposition to the project, but I'm here to urge her, as someone who knows her and has met her and respects her, to do everything within her power and authority as governor of the state to stop this Koiji project. I'm also mindful, I was a part of a reburial ceremony where near the very area where this project is going through, when they widened Highway 97 and scattered the remains of our people for yards. And we collected those bones, we sifted through, and we had a ceremony. We buried our people. So it affects me emotionally, though I don't know specifically who those people are, if I was even related to, but I know our people were related to those people. But to me, it was a dishonor and a disrespect to our people. You know, it's like this pipeline is going to be going through that very area where it's pretty commonly and frequently human remains are disturbed. We don't know where they're all at. So that's one of the reasons we oppose this. It's just not right. It's morally wrong. It's Koiji. Thank you.
Well, my name is Jeff Martinez, and I come from Klamath Falls, Oregon, which is about 260-ish miles south of here. I'm here today. I traveled here today at 5, 6 in the morning to come here to the Capitol and show my support of this protest of this pipeline that's come through our state here. Now, the track record of pipelines is, you know, for many decades they've always said, well, there's easier ways and there's safer ways to get around these gas lines getting across our land, but the history shows that the infrastructure of that is very weak, and the technology's not there to ensure or guarantee any of us of our environmental safety. So I came up here today with some very close relative friends that are indigenous to this land, as well as the land I travel from. I was born here in Salem, Oregon. I've lived in Oregon my entire life, and I'm never going to leave Oregon. But if this state here is going to grow prosperously and stay healthy, we need everybody that's even going to come to this state to understand how precious this is to everyone. You know, I travel a lot and I go across many different landscapes that I appreciate and that I love, and I want them to stay the same, stay precious when I go and visit them, the same that people want to come here to this land and appreciate what we have to offer. So